What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Yannis Pappas Hour. We are close to World War III as we've ever been. There's skirmishes all over the place. I'm sure you've heard. I'm sure the news is out. If it's not out and it hasn't reached you, God bless you. That's the way it should be. We need to revive local news. I am all about Ernie Anastas. Ernie Anastas, tell me what the weather is. I just want to know what the weather is in Westchester County and Long Island and Suffolk. I want to know about local crime in Harlem. I'd like to know what's going on with a protest on the Upper West Side of New York City, and that's it. Put me back in the New York Truman Show. Everyone needs to go back into the Truman Show, where you just get past the mental borders of your neighborhood and your town, and you go, oh, I'm turning back. We got to start living like Long Islanders who are scared to get on planes and don't want to get on the LIE. We need traffic buildup mentally. There needs to be traffic. When you go, I want to go learn about this, you go, there's too much traffic. Turn back and stay in home. There's no reason to go to Vegas anymore. You can go to Atlantic City. There's no reason anymore to go to Mexico or anywhere because you got a pool in your backyard in your nice cul-de-sac where you wave to your neighbor who dies of a cardiac arrest on his driveway at 63 because your house was built in Long Island on a golf course, and underneath there, companies had irresponsibly dumped chemicals underneath. So everyone on the block just drops dead of lupus. Also, nobody exercises because you have to plan to take a walk, and it's hard to just keep going around the same cul-de-sac. So you're not motivated to go plan to take a walk. We need to go back to Long Island values. I'm going to this restaurant. It's Italian, and the guy's got on a tuxedo, and he's actually Italian. Let's go back. We got to go back. You don't want to know about what's going on in the world because it just ain't good. It's just not good right now. It's not good right now, and Israel is not doing a good job of making sure people turn back from anti-Semitism. There's no traffic there. It's wide open. That lane is wide open, baby. It is the Autobahn. You can go 90 on that, okay? Because Israel just seems to be at the epicenter of conflicts that Americans are unsure of. Why are they unsure of it? Because Benjamin Netanyahu has been testifying in front of Congress for nearly 30 years. He's been in office, out of office, in office. Right before October 7th, he was about to go to jail. He's a controversial figure. And he's been testifying for 30 years that Iran is enriching uranium to build a nuclear bomb. So people are going, you've been saying this for a long time. Why now? And he's saying never again. He's saying there's no time like the present. He's being a little pushy. So, in a lot of people's minds who already had a little anti-Semitism, this is making them put their keys in the ignition and driving on the racist Autobahn. It's facilitating more of it because they don't want to go to war with Iran. And this is splitting MAGA. It's splitting MAGA like the atom. It's causing a nuclear reaction. America first. Libertarians are joining forces with progressives, and they're agreeing. And Tucker has become a left-wing hero now because he gave it to Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is quoting scripture for the reasons for supporting Israel. I can't tell who's Iran, who's the United States. I don't know what's what. Who's taking over? Is it the Christian fundamentalists? Kind of like Ted Cruz, his voter base? Who's who? Donald Trump, he's broken everyone's brain. I need everybody back in their tribe so I can understand them. Because right now, progressives, libertarians, anti-Semitic conservatives, they're all going, Donald, we don't want to go. You know? They're going, we don't want to go, Donald. Donald, you said America first. He said, I always said they couldn't get a nuclear weapon. And they're going, you don't have nuclear weapons. Don't you remember Iraq? Netanyahu told us to go in there. Regime change will be good. Do you remember Syria? Do you remember all these things that Netanyahu said we needed to do because we share intel? They're doing it for their interest. Ted Cruz, you got $500,000 in funding from AHPAC. Everyone knows it. Is that why you're quoting Isaiah or Exodus? What did he? Genesis. He quoted Genesis. We will defend Israel. Christians need to defend Israel. And I have to give Tucker credit. He asked a good question. He goes, does that mean, are we talking about this government? I mean, what does that mean? Which is funny because it's a Christian, a hardcore Christian, making fun of the Bible. So I don't know what is what. Because you would think Tucker would go, yeah, I'm a Christian. That's what it says. Let's go, rah, rah. Like he said in 2015. I don't even know who Tucker is anymore. Then we got other people saying, I voted for Trump, and now we should get rid of Trump. I don't know who anyone is. I have a slight suspicion everyone is just making content. Because nobody really seems to have any consistent positions here, including Donald Trump. He's kicking all the people out. Now he's saying, put them back on the farms. Does anyone know what they're doing? Does anyone have a cohesive ideology? Or are we just making content? Or are we all just confused because we're starting to suspect that our content may be salient or not visible based on a juiced algorithm by foreign bots who like our message? Because let's be honest. The global population now learns online. School is like, what? I can't have my phone? It's almost like prison. You're just putting kids in prison. They just want to learn history listen to History Hyenas or this show or, TikTok. That's where people are learning their history. That's why we're relitigating all this stuff, is because everyone's on TikTok making content. And you have this question in your mind going, is this all organic? Because when I was 15 years old or 22 years old, I wasn't interested in World War II or Churchill. I was interested in, are there girls there? That's what I was interested in. Are there girls there? So I wonder, is there a demand I want to get into the weeds of Hitler's message. I want to get into the weeds of whether Churchill was a bad guy because he had said a couple slurs about Indians. I just wonder if it's organic that the youth are so interested in his stuff, or if this stuff is showing up on their feed because it's juiced. I don't know. I suspect that war is fought this way nowadays because of mutually assured destruction. I assume everyone's online. I sure they got bot farm. I assume, is everyone unwittingly being tailored to a certain message because the foreign influences know that we respond to money? So if they start doing a certain type of content and it gets the response, you're trained like a Pavlovian dog to rinse and repeat, which is what the algorithm likes. I'm so fucking sick of trying to seduce a fucking computer. All my conversations with my fucking management now is like, well, was it a stand-up? How many stand-up things did you post before you posted the stand-up? You're confusing the algorithm. The algorithm just wants you to do the same thing over and over again. If you do a stand-up clip and then you do a podcast clip, the algorithm goes, can't compute, have no information. Russian bots and Chinese bots or Qatar or Israeli or whoever the fuck else don't know what to do with it. Is it organic that all these comedians are going serious and their numbers go through the roof? Is that organic? Do people have a big thirst for divisive politics and fear? I wonder. I just wonder if it's organic. I wonder. Dave Rubin and Tim Pool, unwittingly, supposedly, but unwittingly, were being funded by foreign interests through, what do you call those? Shells or proxies or whatever the fuck you're called. Shell companies. Yeah. I just wonder. I wonder on a medium, and I'm referring to the internet, that thrives off of anonymity, where everyone has accounts and you're going, who is that just told me to go fuck myself? They don't reveal themselves. How rarely do you get to go fuck yourself from a public account that's been around for 15 years where you could just see them at their job with their family? No, it's a private account that was created 3 weeks ago, or has been around for 15 years, private, and has 3 followers. And it just says, go fuck yourself. So I wonder if a medium that supports that type of anonymity on a personal level also extends to foreign interests, adversaries, bot farms, algorithms, hacks that can run up numbers to juice certain content to be more visible. I wonder. Of course, we all know that that's what's happening. And so that's why I keep phrasing it with the Socratic method, because that's what's happening. We've gotten to a point where our freedoms have been used against us, right? We don't have any cohesive, big picture, common goal. Every person is in it for their own financial interest, and the American culture is one of greed. So we're all individually just trying to get money. And so I think that's how the foreign invisible hand has been able to slide in there. Because once you start making a little money, your content starts getting very visible. You start getting a little fame from something. What do? Rinse and repeat. You don't even remember who you are, what you believe. You go, hey, I talked about this thing. I don't know much about this thing. I never worked in diplomacy. I never worked in the government, but I got big numbers. Double down. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Who cares whether it's true or not? I'm getting money. And we always, extol freedom of speech, which is great, but that is also something that you can take advantage of. Freedom of speech means if something goes viral, because you're allowed to say anything, it can be weaponized. It can certainly be weaponized. And individual rights means also we're for sale. I'm free to be for sale. Whether you know it or not, in some way you may be for sale. And then the social media companies just kind of look the other way because the engagement is so good for advertising revenue, whether the people are real or not. I've always asked, how come they haven't instituted where the people have to be real? Like getting a driver's license or whatever. Because at this point, we've noticed the internet is leaking out into the real world. So shouldn't everyone know who everyone is? You got to get on a plane. You have to show an ID. You get a ticket. You have to have an ID. If you don't have an ID, isn't it like a violation or something? But on the internet, it's just like, I'm Hulk Dude or Wonder, and everyone go fuck themselves. And let's look at this Hitler speech in English. You're like, who is this guy? Where's this account coming from? But there hasn't been a movement to do that because I think it's greed. I think the social media accounts go, why would we want to lower our numbers? Why would we want to find out who's real and not real? Why would we want to find out how many double or triple or quadruple accounts are coming from the same IP address, or 5,000 or 1 million? Why would we want to do that when we could just say to our advertisers, look at the amount of people online? And the advertisers go, wait, are 5 million of those just 3 dudes in India? And they go, we don't know. We don't check for that. But this is the amount of people who watched it. So that's what the advertisement costs if you want those eyeballs. Anyway, back to the original point. We got Operation Rising Lion. Don't they sound like albums being put out by reggae artists? Israel's going, Rising Lion, Operation Rising Lion, don't give up the fight. Save it for your rights. You got to fight for your rights. Who is that Jewish reggae guy? The white guy, you know him. He's still doing it. Matasyahu.
Oh, that's no?
No, Matasyahu. You don't remember Matasyahu? No. He used to do the reggae with his curls going down. Boom, bo. Me say bo, bo. Me say Hasidic Jew coming for the man and we down with it. Booyaka, booyaka. Hebrew nation, booyaka, booyaka. Lion of Zion, booyaka, booyaka. The Lion of Zion, Matisyahu. Me say it, me people will be free. My people will be free. Say, why are lion coming when they grow? We open the door and they buck on the woe. Early on the evening they coming and they lies. My people have survived. My people will survive. And then, of course, Iran replies with its own album release called Operation True Promise. Operation True Promise, the third, so it's a trilogy. Operation True Promise sounds like a Tony Braxton album. They responded with a little R&B to meet your reggae with R&B. Operation True Promise, girl. True Promise, girl. We're gonna come with the rising lion to the sun. One day at a time, gonna bum, bum, bum. We are the true promise, gonna defend against the Zionist lion. The kosher Zionist lion that doesn't mix his meat and cheese and snips his dick. He's gonna snip his dick. We don't snip our dicks over here in Operation True Promise. Our dicks got hoods, just like Hallowed be his name on the true prophet. Glory be to him. I'm scared. You get too close to mentioning what prophet, you get scared. So here we are. October 7th has now turned into June 16, wherever we are, 18, 19, 20, 25, 25, 26, whenever you're listening to this, if we're still here. We don't know. But as you know, Israel's taking on another front. They are the Spartan 300 right now. If if the Spartan 300 had a mega donor to make their swords, that's basically what they are. Israel's the 300, just with a massive weapons maker behind them. They could have taken out. They could have won that battle. They could have won that battle against the Persians if they had just a swords maker constantly throwing the nicest swords at them. Israel's got America just fucking blank check, baby. Here's what you need. And we're either in the war now or close to it, or we don't know. But I don't think this thing's going to be a couple of days. Because as we know, Iran is a nation of 92 million people, which is something that Tucker Carlson Wikipedia'd right before the Ted Cruz. I love how he pretended he just knew that from his degree in Middle East studies. He's like, what do you mean? You don't know the exact population for the country you're looking to What do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah, 92 million. You don't know. That's very important. What if it was 80 million? I love that was a gotcha moment, but the Bible stuff was like, that was a serious discussion. That point where like he started laughing. It's like, I can't believe this. You don't know the amount of people to the person of the country that you're in support of bombing? But then when they talked about the reason for the bombing being from a book from a long time ago, they took that very seriously. He goes, wait, I'm a Christian, so I understand that point. But I see what you're saying as a Christian. I see what you're saying. We need to defend Israel because it says it in the Bible. That part was a little bit more understandable to Tucker than the exact number of the population. Things are getting very weird. Tulsi Gabbard, when she became the top spy in the world, said that there's no good intelligence that they have a bomb or they're trying to get a bomb. But now she's going, let's go. So who knows? Maybe that was before they shared intel with the Mossad, who said they are. I don't know if they are. We don't know. We were told Iraq does. We don't know. Does Iran? Iran does call it the little Satan, and it calls us the big Satan. So let's understand, who is Iran? Now, you know what, Ted Cruz, if you had watched this episode, you would have been better prepared for your Tucker interview. on the Tucker Network. On the Tucker Network. So who is Iran? I like the way Trump rolls. Are you going to attack? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. That's what he said. I may do it, I may not do it. By the time you watch this, he may have done it, he may not have done it. He's good for content that you're trying to not make too current because he may or he may not. So when you watch this, either one of those could be true, which is great. Thank you. I'm glad. By the way, the Make America Great Again hats now come in white. So if you like those home colors, you might want to get that. I think the red should be the away and the white should be home. So when you're in DC or in America, you wear the white. If you go overseas and you want to, show your flag, go red. It's away. It's an away game. You're in England. Put the red one on, just like in sports. Let me tell you a little something about Huel. Thank you to Huel for sending me Huel. I love it, dude. Let me tell you something right now. I never eat breakfast just because I'm on the go. I got kids, and they sent me, and it is a ready to drink complete meal in a bottle. So you get that first meal, and you feel fueled up with Huel. Huel. It's Huel, and it's really delicious. And there's no prep, no cleanup. It's really for the modern lifestyle, and it works really for me. And I love them. I'm just telling you honestly. I'm gonna keep using them, especially for that morning meal. So Huel has already sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it's your turn to try it, my friends. New customers get 15% off at Huel.com when they use my code Yannis. So what is it? It tastes good. It's incredibly affordable. It's got high protein meals, less than $5. It's a budget-friendly option, and I'm genuinely excited about it, to be honest with you. So start saving time and money without compromising your nutrition today with this exclusive offer for new customers of 15% using my exclusive code Yannis. That's YANNIS at Huel.com. HUEL.com. That's 15% for new customers using my exclusive code Yannis at Huel.com. Please see our description for the terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition bottled. So, what is Iran? It's a very interesting place. Iran is an interesting place. It wasn't always called Iran. At some point, it was called different things. Most famously, it was called Persia. And that's why when you meet Iranians over here, it's a little confusing, right? Because we had, since 1979, they've been like the bad guy, right? In all the movies. If you see Leslie Nielsen in a movie, there's going to be a guy with a head wrap on who's Shia Muslim from Iran, and he's looking to hijack a plane. And you go, and then you meet Persians in America, and you go, what is Persia? And they go, I'm Persian. You go, where's that? Right? It's like if Greece didn't exist and I said, because Greece still exists as a country, but it didn't for a while. It was Ottoman. So there was no country of Greece until the Greek Revolution. And then they carved up whatever land was left because that's how nation building's done. And now there's like a Greece, right? But it's like me saying I'm Greek during the time of the Ottoman. I go, you go, where? What do you mean? Are you Ottoman? What are you talking about? I'm ethnically Greek, but I live in the Ottoman Empire. Just like they do now in Iran. Iran's such a complicated case. Go like, I am actually Kurdish Sunni. I speak this language, but I'm Iranian. I am Persian Jew. I am a Persian Jew who speaks Farsi, but I live in Iran. And that, if you said that, you'd be speaking to 5 people. You'd be speaking to the 5 Persian Jews that are still left. Used to be a lot of them there. Not anymore. So what happened? Well, it all starts with Cyrus the Great, right? Cyrus the Great, you may know the Persian Empire from the movie 300. I think the best way to approach the American audience is through a Hollywood movie. So Persia was an empire that went all the way from India to the steppes of Greece before Alexander the Greek. They should just call him Alexander the Greek because Macedonia is Greek. Relax. I love that. I'm like, I pretend like there's a huge audience, so there's probably a lot of Macedonians who want to fight about that. What are the chances one Macedonian's watching this, let alone one Macedonian who would care about that? You know, because that's like a contention thing. The Greeks go, he's Greek. The Macedonians go, he's Macedonian. He was clearly Greek. It's like, well, it was a culture. It was whatever. Anyway, you know, then you got Darius. I think Darius was in the movie, right? I think at that point we're up to Darius. You got, or Xerxes or one of those. But those are the three most famous Persian guys. We're going to do this very colloquially. Those are your three Persian guys. But the Persians had a nice long run. They had the original monotheistic religion, which a lot of people don't know. Before Judaism, before Islam, before Christianity, which are the three known monotheistic religions. Before that, you had the Greeks, the Roman gods, the Vikings had a whole bunch. It was a little more by community, right? It takes a village to build the universe. It was more of a socialist deity, more of a community base. It was a kibbutz. It was a kibbutz of gods until it just became the industrious, single, unified, monotheistic God. And Zoroastrianism was the first one, and it was Persian. It was in Persia. It was started by those people over there. And Cyrus the Great, and it became the official religion of that area. And Cyrus the Great was known as a good person, I guess. He was the first guy to give people individual rights and freedom. It was called the Cyrus cylinder. And we're not talking about his cock, because that would be a great name for his cock. Hey, baby, you want to see the Cyrus cylinder? No. The Cyrus cylinder is the first or one of the earliest or most known human rights declarations, right? They had a great infrastructure. They built something called the Royal Road, which probably let merchants go through. And by merchants, you know what I mean. Couple of happy merchant memes walking around. Hava, Nagila, Hava. And that all went great until the Floyd Mayweather of generals, Alexander the Great, came around and conquered it. And then there was a Greek period, then Parthian, then back to the Persians for a little bit. And then everything changed after the last great Persian civilization called the Sasanian. I wonder if that's where Armenians are always IAN, because they're around that area too. Who knows? I don't know about them. All I know is they're friends with us. Greeks and Armenians are friends because we both don't like Ottomans or former Ottomans, Turks. It's a very complicated tribal world. Everyone just goes Iran. Yeah, Iran, I think, is 90% Shia Muslim. Now you're going like, oh, they're Muslims. No, they're Shia Muslim. There's a thing called Sunni Muslims. And guess what? They don't like each other too much. You go, who's the biggest perpetrator of terrorism in the world? Is it white supremacy? No. Happens to be. And a lot of Muslims. And who is the biggest victim of terrorism in the world? Happens to be Muslims. That's just a fact. Why? Because of this Sunni-Shia controversy. The Shia are a minority of Muslims. The Sunni are a majority. So in Persia, I'm sorry. Ayatollah, I'm sorry. In Iran, they are Shia. Right? So Iraq was the Sunni, Saddam was the Sunni, and we'll get into it. But after the Sasanian Empire, which was sort of the last great pre-Islamic Persian empire, we get to, let's just call this Muzzy Town, baby. This was the era where another great leader, much like Alexander the Great or Cyrus, a guy named Muhammad, the great prophet, praise be his name, expanded. Now, you're saying to yourself, wait a second, I thought he was a prophet. Yeah, he is a prophet. I think he didn't even write anything down, like it was just oral, right? And he wrote the Quran. Sorry, praise be his name. And, but what a lot of people don't know about him is, he was, he's trying to start an empire here. He's trying to unify. There was a bunch of Arab, and what are the Arabs? Arabs are people on the Arabian Peninsula, right? It's the Arabian Peninsula. And you were fighting each other. Just like everyone at some point was fighting each other. that had the same DNA. Tribal, right? Because if you lived close back then, you really lived far. You know, by yesterday's standards, close was far. We didn't have planes. We didn't have cars. If you lived over there, you did your own thing, and over here they did their thing. Back in the day, you were probably the same thing, and then one of you walked this way, one of you walked the other way. You met different girls. You started a thing. Then your thing got big, and you walked over to that thing and said, oh, what's this thing over there? They got a thing going over there. We need more things. So I'm going to go to his thing and take his things. Because it was people were doing different things very close by, different things. Mountains around. Nobody wanted to walk. It was a whole thing. It was a whole schlep. Nobody wanted to schlep over there unless they wanted more things. And it takes a while to want more things. But it's a whole thing to get on a horse and So the Arabs were a bunch of different tribes, and then Muhammad comes along, and he looks at Judaism, Christianity. He goes ba 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 ba. Praise be, glory be his name. Do Scientologists say that about L. Ron Hubbard, who started a religion? Do they say glory to his name? Thetan. So, by the way, I do believe in some sort of God. I don't know. But this stuff is fun. So then he unites those tribes, and they march out. They march out. They're called mujahideen, which means we're going to spread the word, and we're going to get some shit. We're going to get some shit. We're going to go out. And they come and they conquer Persia. They conquer, Muhammad starts it, then he dies. And then within a couple of decades, I would say, I would go like maybe you got to go Alexander the Great, GOAT, right? Then maybe Attila the Hun or what's his name? Genghis Khan. Napoleon. But then how come nobody was, how come, why is he, it's just very interesting to me because it's like not supposed to be a thing. That part's it's not supposed to be a thing, but you got to kind of put him in the, it's like Deion Sanders, right? Everyone underappreciates how good he was at basketball, or Bo Jackson. He was really good. At baseball, because Bo Jackson too was good at baseball. But people just like always remember football. But it's like he also did this other thing. It's like Muhammad was good at that thing, but he was also kind of good at Alexander the Great's thing. He did that thing too. So you got to put him in the GOAT. When you look at the amount of land and how quick, you got to put him in a GOAT conversation as conquerors. Which is it's a point of contention where people go, I don't, look, in my opinion, I go with God's opinion. And God's opinion is the killing. There was a documented killing of, I think in what is now Iraq, 600 to 900 Jews that were a tribe that he ordered executed them all. He approved of some tactics that happened during conquering. He himself was at battles, he himself may have killed, but here's the thing. All those killings, and I go with God's way about this, were part of that time and also not crimes in Islamic law. So that's what we need to remember. These were righteous. These were God approved because it was part of war. So it wasn't the type of murder you're thinking about. It wasn't the type of like killing a guy. You got to put context into it, right? So I'm skating on thin ice. But I'm just reporting what they say in history. So, that's a little controversial. Some skeptics will say, oh, what about that? And then, but you got to remember that they don't understand that that's Islamic law and that is okay. And Muhammad is the perfect human being. Praise be his name. So he comes and they conquer. They conquer the Persian Empire. They conquer all the way to Spain. They conquer all that area. The Arabs spread out, and people now go, oh, the Arabs are all over the Middle East. That's not how it goes. The Arabs are there. They multiplied somewhat, but there's all these other types over there. A lot of them have left because the Arabs got in there. But, for example, the Arabs in Iran, I think most Americans go, those Arabs over there. No, it's like 2% Arabs in Iran. It's only 2%. It's like the Jews here. There's not a lot of Arabs in Iran. They're Persians who were converted after they were conquered. And I think they had them for a long time. The Muzzies had them for a long time, so there's plenty of time for them to convince them to change things up a little bit. How that convincing happened is a historical debate. What the Muzzies did is, a lot of places they let you have your religion and your thing, but they taxed you pretty heavy. And so I think the most, you look at some sciences when sciences says certain things like genders, constructs, things like that, or you go, or you look at history and when history says, what they did was they didn't want to get taxed anymore, so they converted. You go, if I was a historian, that's the way I'd phrase it too. Because why cause a stir? Let's just go with they peacefully decided to convert because they didn't want to be taxed. That's what happened. That's the way. There was no forced conversion. There was no murders. There was nothing like that. There was no rape. There was none of that. It was, hey, if you don't convert, you get charged this amount of money. If you do convert, you get choice. The choice is yours. Huh? It was a handshake type of thing. It was a handshake type of thing that everyone in that area decided to somehow abide by because now 90% of Iran, which used to be Persia, which used to all be Zoroastrianists or whatever, are now Shia Muslims. Now, what's the difference between Sunni and Shia? Okay. One of them is more into divine right of kings. The other one's more a little bit who's the best guy for the job, right? The Shias, they go, hey, listen, Muhammad was the guy, okay? So somebody who's related to him has to be the guy. So we're going to go with, I think, his cousin, who is his uncle or something. We're going to go with him. We're going to back him. But then he got killed, and so that radicalized them, and they've always considered themselves a persecuted minority, whereas the Sunnis go, hey, it's got to be the best guy for the job. So they supported, I think, one of his generals to lead Islam, which, again, we have that issue. He's a general, but he's also a spiritual leader. There's killing, but the killing is okay in Islamic law. At the time, it's okay. It's all okay. So that's the difference. One of them wants the best guy for the job. The one of them wants everyone to be the descendant of Muhammad. And Shia is the big minority. Sunni is the majority of Muslims. And they have a spit here and there, a spit and a spat. They kill each other. They bomb each other. They blow each other up. Blah, 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 blah. But ethnically, they're not Arabs. They're just like Turkish are ethnically not Arabs. They're Turkic. A lot of them are paler. So it's really Islam that became the dominant religion there, right, over time. But then the Europeans got strong. They figured out industrialization, and they said, we need some oil. Sandra, they called Sandra on the phone and said, you got some oil. And they said, we're praying 5 times a day. And we say, okay, look, we're going to come bomb you. What we need is a good oil. And they say, you can't take it. You're exploiting our people. They say, okay, we're going to bomb you. And they say, okay, look, we want to pray and we'll give you the oil. So we said, up the oil. We came like Omar from The Wire and we said, up the oil. And he said, okay. He said, in order for us to keep getting this oil, I need to put my guy in there. So the British, the Russians, whoever else got in there and said, boom, boom, bang, here's your guy. He went to school in Switzerland. Now he's your leader. CIA, MX-16, whatever they did, boom, bang, bang. We fast forward all the way, 1915 or something like that. Where are we? Where we are? 1925. So I was off 10 years. 1925, they say, here's your guy. His father, you hated him, but his son, he went to Switzerland. He was educated. He's never been to Iran. He's going to show up there. He's going to lead you. He speaks with an American accent. Have you ever heard his interviews? You ever seen him? I mean, the guy has no accent. He's like leading Iran. He's like, here's the thing. You're like, you're Iranian? It's like, actually, I'm just, I don't know. I'm Swiss. I don't know what's going on. They put me in. So we install the Shah and we install the Shah to say, hey, business as usual. Good prices on this oil. And they go, yeah, but the people feel like we're being exploited. You say, you suppress those people. Here's all this money. So he lives lavishly. He does big celebrations, and the people start to get a little fed up because of the income disparity. They're Islamic. They feel like the Western influence is there, raping their country. During this time, disco's there, chicks are showing their mini skirts and whatever. The Muslims are getting a little like, what's going on? This is not what we're about. Next thing you know, boom, revolution. Shah is ousted. And at this time, Israel and Iran were chill. They were chill. They were sharing intel. They were doing all this stuff, trading, boom. Then Ayatollah comes in and he goes, boom, it's a revolution, anti-American, because we installed a puppet. We did. And we're against them and their little Satan. That's the big Satan, and the little Satan is Israel. And they just adopt that sort of victim, because they're Shia, so they're victimized by the Sunni, and they go, America, the Western powers, they're in here, which they're not wrong. They were not wrong. We're not going to be exploited by them anymore. Israel's an illegal occupation. Palestinians, we're going to support them, even though I think the Palestinians are Sunni, right? It's weird because, it's very weird. No, because Hamas, I think, Hezbollah is like Sunni, Hezbollah shit, but Israel unites them, which is like, that's a good thing. At least Israel unites Sunni and Shia. It's very, I don't know which one's which, but Hezbollah, I think, could be Sunni or Shia, and Hamas is, they're not all. My point is, they see common ground because they hate Israel. If you didn't have Israel, they very well could be killing each other. Yeah, Hezbollah is Shia, but Hamas, I think, is Sunni, right? Is Hamas Sunni? Hezbollah is Shia. So they're more Persian, but Hamas is Sunni. So they're supporting Hamas, but they wouldn't otherwise do that if there was no Israel, lion in Zion. If there was no lion in Zion. So it's very complicated. Then you got the Kurds. The Kurds are Sunni, but they hated Saddam Hussein, who was Sunni, because he was oppressing them, because they wanted their own land, blah, blah, blah. So even though sometimes you may even have the same religion, they don't like each other, because then it becomes about nationalism or something else. There's a lot of fighting. This fucking area is from another century, my friends, where things weren't so unified. It's very messy over there. You got Azerbaijanis who have their own country, they're a tribe, but then there's also an ethnic group of them in Iran. Farsi. They don't speak Arabic in Iran. They speak Farsi, which is the Persian language. So that's really the turning point, was when, they had the Islamic Revolution and they said, we hate America. It was a rebellion against the CIA-backed coup and how they were controlling the oil, And of course, we didn't want a nationalized oil. We didn't want an Islamic revolution. We wanted business as usual. And we want to be able to go to a drive-in movie theater. We wanted kids to be able to afford burgers, fries, and take a girl for a nice drive in your new Ford or your Buick. And just be able to afford it just with a little pocket money from your parents who worked at the factory, or your mom was a cashier at Sears. And so our lifestyle was like, hey, you got to be able to take your girl for a milkshake at a diner and not have to pay out the pocket. You got to be able to afford the milkshake, so the gas has to be low. And Iran said, fuck you. Though the people said, fuck you, because the Shah was living nice. And people connected to him who were selling the oil to the West was living nice. And the people said, we're taking off heads. And then from that point on, it's been an Islamic country that is a little less than understanding to women's needs. Because when Islamics came in, now, what you don't know is 70 to 80% of the graduates in engineering and shit like that now are women in Iran. But here's the kicker. Only like 12% of the working force is women. So they go to school and then they just can't do anything with it. So they're not allowed to work under Islamic law, which is the law of God. Praise be his name. So that's where we are today. After this 1953 CIA-backed coup that then led to a revolution. And that revolution, as soon as it got into office, was extremely Muslim and hated the United States and Israel from its founding. And then from that point on, Israel and Iran have just been lobbing shit back at each other. Just missiles. I mean, imagine just being in Lebanon and just, you're like, shit, it's going back and forth. It's like watching a tennis match. They're just sitting there in Lebanon at like nightclubs just going like this. And then, of course, Lebanon gets hit a little bit too because they have some Hezbollah in there, which is Iranian funded. So Iran's been trying to fucking get Israel for a long time. And so Israel has now finally just fucking went all out and is taking on this nation of 92 million from a country that's smaller than New Jersey. So Israel's going like, they tried to kill the president. And you're going like, was that Iran? They're going like, we're telling you it was Iran. Because they want us in. And Trump wants to go in anyway because he doesn't want an Iran with the bomb. And I think a lot of countries don't want Iran with a bomb. It's not just us. There's a lot of people you wouldn't think. I don't think Saudi Arabia wants Iran with a bomb because they're not cool. Because why? The Saudi Arabians are Sunni and the Iranians are Shia. And they fucking hate each other. They hate each other. They're not all unified. So are they enriching uranium? According to the Israelis, they are. I mean, they probably are. They probably are. Because I don't know if Israel would risk this if they weren't. It seems like they're just going like, we're just going to take the head off now. Like we've fucked this. But then there's the other side. You're going like, this is also convenient. Israeli prime minister, about to go to trial, about to maybe go to prison, definitely not going to be outed out of office. All of a sudden, some hand gliders come in. They kill his political opponents, really, who were like, those fucking like hippy-dippy Israelis, not his party, the Likud party, right? They're more like, hey, man, let's make a deal, people. So he doesn't really care about them anyway, right? They're his political enemy. They go in and kill them, and then he goes, I get to go into Gaza, and then you're going like, all right, you're going to go, and then you're like, whoa, what are you doing? Whoa. He's like, I'm doing what I always wanted to do. Cleanse them. Get a greater Israel. And you're going, that's inconvenient. And then you go, wait, are you going to fucking, you always wanted to go to war with Iran too. Are you going to fucking go to, and you go, he's not going to do that. This is not, what? And then he's doing it. So you're going like, was this all kind of like part of his thing? Probably. It's messy over there. But what I can tell you is Israel is a traumatized group of people surrounded by people who don't like them, and they kind of act accordingly. And I can tell you that Muzzies, they just never were big fans of the Frisbees either. So you got a problem over there. You got a really messy problem. And here we are. We don't know what's going to happen. But that's a little bit of how we got here. Now, so what Netanyahu's hoping for, and everyone's hoping for, is a little regime change, but not just a regime change, because that's been done before, and we see that it doesn't work in Iran. But here's why people, I think, who are doing these things may think, oh, Persia was once this. That's why we're talking about Persia. Persia was once, the home of Rumi and great thinkers. Yes, that was during the Islamic period, but culturally, it was very advanced. It wasn't like this repressed against women. Women were wearing skirts, and they had these revolutions recently with the young students going like, we want to take off the hijabs, and Nike says, that's disrespectful. We want to sell Nike hijabs. How transparent was that when they said, another piece of merch we can sell? We're for it. Why would you take it off? Why would you I can't put a Nike sign on your head, but I can put a Nike sign on your hijab. Remember when they were selling Nike fucking hijabs? Oh God, we're a funny species. And they did that sort of with righteousness. Like, we're standing up for our Muslim brothers. So you go, isn't that like oppressive towards women? They go, listen, dude, we're trying to sell another piece of apparel. It's another thing that adds to our revenue. It's a market. There's the Nike. There's the Nike. A Nike. Imagine walking around with a Nike Frisbee on. It's a Nike hijab. It's a Nike hijab. There's a fucking swoosh on the hijab. I mean, how funny is that, dude? That's like if you had a cross on and Jesus was wearing fucking Jordans. That's if Nike started making crosses with Jordans on his feet. They're branding religion. I mean, it's fucking hilarious. And then they claim the moral high ground. I mean, it's fucking hilarious. So they're hoping, you know, and those revolts are coming from, you know, maybe some younger minorities. They live in different places. Here's the thing. Iran is a mostly urban. I think 65 or 75% of the people live in urban areas. It's not a backwoods place. So they're hoping for a cultural revolution, right? And here's the thing. Jews, there were a lot of Jews in Iran, right? And like I don't know if I mentioned, but Cyrus, when he took control and established sort of the Persian Empire, he freed the Jews. He was like one of the first, right? Am I right about that? Can you look that up? Cyrus freed the Jews. So the Jews were flourishing. There's a lot of Iranian Jews. I met my first Iranian Jew, who I think was, in retrospect, a Mossad spy. But besides that, one of my good friends, he was like the first like dark-skinned Jew that I met. Because when you grow up in Brooklyn, they're all kind of European Jews. And that's another thing. People go, those are colonizers. It's like, you do know that they're all Semitic. They just got paler because they intermarried with Europeans. But the Jews are from fucking the Middle East. So they got kicked out and they went to Europe, and then over generations and generations, who are they going to bang? They banged Polish people. They banged Czech people. They banged Russians. They went up to Russia. They went to England. They banged white people. But originally, I don't have any Jew genes in me, thank God. No, but I'm saying, like, you know, they have Middle Eastern. I don't have Middle Eastern. I got more North African and Ottoman, which I guess is Middle Eastern. I got a little bit of Arab. What can you do? 2%. An Arab got in there. I got 2%. That's low, though, right? It's about the same amount as my Neanderthal DNA. So it's not that much. All white people have Neanderthal DNA, which is crazy. I think mine was 2% or something like that, or less than that, but I have 2%. So at some point there was like a full Arab in my family line. So yeah, just to let you know, in 586 BCE, way before Christ, the Babylonians under Nebuchadnezzar, fuck it, who cares? Conquered the kingdom of Judah. That's when Babylon took the Jews. And that was the first destruction. Okay, now I remember. The first destruction of the temple, not the second temple. This was the first temple. So this dude, Nebuchadnezzar, hard to pronounce, conquered Judah, and destroyed the first temple. So this was the first time the Jews got a little ass kicking in what is now Israel. And it was the first time the Jews were exiled out of that area. And they were exiled to Babylon. And this is known as the Babylonian captivity. But in 539 BCE, Cyrus the Great reconquered Babylon and incorporated it into the Persian Empire. And then he issued his proclamation, the Cyrus cylinder, and he allowed the Jews, the exiled people, to return to their homelands and rebuild the temples. So this is where their lore comes from. They've always been getting kicked out. They were first kicked out by Ebenezer Scrooge. And then after Ebenezer Scrooge, it was the Romans. So, but they were there. And they wanted to set up their thing. I don't know why people are always fucking kicking them out. Maybe it's because they got sick of the haggling. It's just the price is what the price is. The price is what the price is, Solomon. You're making me upset. But I guess they've been feisty from the beginning. I don't, or maybe they're so committed, or maybe it's because they call themselves the truth. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think it's because they don't want to convert. Because usually, like, let's say Ebenezer Scrooge conquers and he goes, okay, now we're going to be whatever his God was. And they just stick to their shit. Then you're just going to go, all right, we're going to kill you, kick you out, or both. That's probably what it is. And if you look through the thousands of years, they've stuck to that fucking religion. So I guess it has to be that. Or maybe they're just wicked annoying. I don't know. But so Cyrus allowed them to return, and then they were hanging around for a long time because that Persian Empire lasted a long time. So they kind of flourished in Iran. And that's why Cyrus is kind of remembered, I think, favorably by the Jews. And they look at Iran, and that's what Netanyahu's probably playing on. It's like, remember, we were Persian, we were Jew, and we went and we we all went to the same thing and we had milkshakes and hummus plates and, stuffed peppers and dolmades and, all the food that we call Israeli, but it's really Arab food. So that's what they're hoping for. So they're kind of playing on that old Persian thing. And there are a lot of Persian people, it's very complicated, who they glorify, they remember that Persian era. But it's been Muslim for so long, but that great era when they were Persian, they glorify probably the Greeks are Christian, but before we were Christian, we had this great Greek civilization. So a lot of Greeks hold those two things in their heads at the same time, and it's very interesting. But yeah, there's this dissonance about it being a conqueror's god. There's a dissonance about that. And I think that the Persians have that same dissonance because it's so long ago. Because I always, as a Greek heretic, as I'm probably known in the Greek community, which just means independent thinker, I just noticed that, the Greeks, it's a conqueror's god. I mean, it is what it is. The Romans, it was a conqueror's god. It became the Romans conquered Greece, and then they spread Christianity, unify everyone. It was a conqueror's god. It wasn't originally a Greek god. He was originally a Jew. Jesus was a Jew. And then Constantine made it the thing. And so it's just accepted. So I think it's very similar in Persia, where Islam is just accepted. It's not thought of as a conqueror's god. I mean, even the blacks, it's the same way. Like the people who were enslaving them gave them a god. So this is your new god. And then I think they like it. I think they go, this is fucking pretty good. I don't know if it's Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know if we all got good gods. I don't know what it is. But, so is it going to work? I don't think so. Unfortunately, you can't apply new school rules to an old school beef. This is an old school beef. The only way to solve this beef is if somebody wipes somebody out, because that's the way it used to go. And people just flee because they're like, I don't want to get wiped out. When the Jews fled Judea, the kingdom, whatever, so many names to remember and so much changing hands in history. But when they fled because they were getting wiped out and there was nobody protesting for them. They were just like, we're going to go, we're fucking running away. And that's the way it ends. And that's what this is. It's a fight over land. People who were there a long time ago, people who were there more recently, but the people who were there more recently also came. And it's this thing. They're fighting over these hunting grounds just like animals do. And now the Israelis have the power. They got the thing and they want it. And the other people don't want to leave. And it's like, you can't. And everyone's going, what's right? What's wrong? And you're like, this isn't a right, wrong thing. This is an animal thing. People fighting over land. So it's an old school problem. And people are trying to solve it with new school rules, and you can't. And unfortunately, there's just, 50 Arab countries or something like that? And let's not even call them Arab countries, because they're not all Arab countries. They're Muslim countries, right? So there's how many? A lot. There's a lot. And there's this tiny little Jewish country, and it's in their neighborhood. It's a, you know what I mean? It just is what it is. And they look at it like a South African government. They look at it like Israel's the South African government of all of the Middle East, right? Because they all hate each other, but what they're united in is like despising Israel, the people. Saudi Arabian people. I'm sure if you go to Saudi Arabian people on the street, they'll all say we hate Israel. The government is starting to make concessions because they're modifying and they want to do business. But Muslims hate Jews because of Israel. There are 27 countries, most of 50 in the world, so 27 in the Middle East. So that's a lot. And so they're always going to be surrounded, and this is never going to end, and that's what makes it so fucking scary. And I will admit, a big part of what makes it scary is Israel has a nuke. So everyone's worried about Iran having a nuke, but everyone's trying to wipe Israel. All the Arabs are trying to wipe Israel. Israel will just nuke. They will do it because they're zealots too. They have religious zealots, and that's why they went back to Israel, because of their religion. So they'll nuke. So fuck. So just fuck. Because I can't see how this doesn't end. It's like almost like I don't see a way. Do you? Because they're just do you think there's just going to be this massive enlightenment amongst all the Muslim world where they're just going, you know what? It's fine. Let's just take the Palestinians, move them. They'll be upset. We'll put them. Do you see that?
No, the Palestinian one is tougher, but if you can get what that dude is doing in Saudi Arabia, if you get a guy like him in over in Iran.
You just want to wet their beak a little bit?
Yeah, build some casinos, build some strip clubs, get it going, you know.
But then what happens in Saudi Arabia when when the Islamists go, this is the devil's shit, devil's juice, and then they come in and they wipe out that regime.
We can't have that. No.
Well, you know, it's just inevitable. Once the Western influence comes, then, you know, the carpets come out. Is it equal but opposite reaction? Because let's be honest, our culture's a little debaucherous.
We got to give them a little thing called TikTok, a little thing called Instagram, get them hooked on the algorithm, get them nice and peaceful.
Yeah. I'll just be honest with you. I don't see an exit out of this quagmire without major fucking carnage. That's going to ripple and reverberate everywhere. This is a tough one. This is just as tough as Taiwan. I think Taiwan's not as scary as people think Taiwan's scarier. I don't think it's scarier because I'm not trying to give you a tip, China, but I don't think fucking NATO's going to do shit. I think China's just going to take it. I think we're preparing for that, and that's why we're bringing all the chips and shit. Everyone thinks, oh, that's America first. We're also preparing. Everything's financial. We're just preparing. They want the thing. It's the smart move. Fucking bring the chips here and fucking throw Taiwan to the lions. Who gives a fuck about Taiwan? One China, who gives a fuck? The only reason we like Taiwan is because they give us good deals. And they help us control that growing thing a little bit. Some bases and shit. Who gives a fuck? What are they going to do? Who gives a shit about Europe too? Take it. Just stay away from fucking, you know what I mean? Take Canada. No. I like to get some shawarma up there. I don't give a fuck. Just stay out of New York. It's going to get to that point where it just keeps encroaching. We're like, okay, just stay out of the tri-state area. And they're like, okay, just stay out of Brooklyn. Okay, just stay out of Bay Ridge. Okay, just stay off this block. Everyone's trying to take over the world. And it's just what it is. And I see no exit. The only exit I see is aliens coming or a massive high dose. I'm talking high dose of Klonopin in the water supply for the whole globe. And that's it. That's the only, or AI taking over. Like AI, people are scared of AI. AI may be the thing that prevents us, like enslaves us and says, whoa, we're not going to let you kill yourselves because you're going to be sucking my dick and you're gonna be sucking my robot dick and washing my robot clothes. So it's, you know how it's you're good to your slaves a little bit because they financially need them, and so they don't let us blow ourselves up because they use us, and that will be our only hope. So we're caught between a rock and a robot's hard place. I want to give a shout out, as always, to forthefree.art music in Hawaii. Check their local listings. Just find out about some Hawaiian bands up there at forthefree.art. Great music, local artists. Indigo Labs, agency.com. Nate Linder, social media marketer. He's great. He's been killing it with healthcare and software companies. Give him a shot. I've used them. He's great. This is great. It's marketing solution backed by data and proven by impact. You see the results. You can see them. So, also rebels-raiders.com. Check him out. He's got multicam, M81 woodland camo, medical bags, rifle slings, plate carriers, all that good stuff. And his goat shirts. Goes to goat charity. Kid loves goats. So visit rebels-raiders.com. Sign up for the restock alerts and grab something before it disappears. Just go check out the website. Very cool stuff. Suds Auto Spa in Bridgeville, south of Pittsburgh, 412-564-5033. Info at sudsautospa.com. Car capsule units, storage assets, paint protection. They will travel. The bigger the job, the farther they will travel, but they're in Bridgeville, south of Pittsburgh. So hit them up if you want to clean out your car and crack it open and clean it. And then PCB Tech Art. Okay? Go get their Power Nest. So, it's for your phone. Charger, phone. Boom. Perfect. Or the Power Sphere. Put it in, make your car smell good, or they'll make you any design you want. Just go on there, slap the code Yannis10 for a 10% discount. Yannis10, all one word.